What's up guys, Azura here, and today we're going to be talking about the bar build for Module 29. And yeah, let's start with the race as always. I'm still using the Wood Elf for the critical chance. You can go ASMR for power, and I'll go healing, a little bit of HP for everyone, incoming healing. If you like being ugly, you can go with the Dragonborn with power and critical chance. And you can make work of the Drow as well with the debuffs. Either the Renegade Drow or the Drow are viable as well because we do have some at-wills that are fast attacking, so you can actually proc the debuff fairly well. For the attributes, we are using Wisdom and Charisma. Wisdom for the outgoing healing and Charisma for the forte and recharge speed. Dexterity gives critical severity. You could go with critical severity, but I do believe you're definitely not going to need it. The Bard has 10% critical severity for free, and it also gets critical severity in the Forte. So yeah, we do have some extra critical severity that I can't get rid of. So you're definitely not going to need this here. I would go with Charisma. So looking at the stats now, guys, we don't have any buffs on. I'm gonna check what the buffs we can use here. We can't use the Batwing Soup. I'm not gonna be using in this build. We're gonna be using Swa Soup. I'm gonna proc it. Invocation Blessing. I usually have it. Just click it and activate whatever I get it. Wildstorm Elixir, and we can use Flask of Potence as well, but we don't need it in the build either. And yeah, if you want to use Watermelon, you definitely can, because in both of those scenarios here, we only take advantage of one stat, because critical severity in the bar, again, is just so easy to get, man. It's annoying, but I do need a critical strike here because I changed the helmet. So yeah, if you want to go back to the Watermelon Sorbet, you're probably going to have to stick with the old Pulsar helmet for the Moon Dancer, and you probably can switch things around to use the Watermelon. Looking at the stats now, we do have 61.5 power. You're gonna get 15 from the Raptor, 5 from the helmet, 3.5 from Portobello, 6 from the Boom, and up to 3% from the Forger box. So we're gonna be around 94, which means that you can drop the Portobello if you have the Forger box upgraded. So yeah, the power is fine. We do have 89.8 critical severity. Unfortunately, I can't get this to the cap, but it's totally fine, guys. Unless you're willing to change the Portobello to the Harper Bard or the Regen, so we can get 2% power and 2% critical strike. We're gonna be capping that out, but yeah, it's fine the way it is. 89.8. I'm using Devil's Precision as well, so yeah. Critical severity, we are already at 88. I didn't even use the Flask of Potency, and I still have my 10% extra from the song. Whenever you play a song, you get 10% free. So, as I said, you have a ton of critical severity as Bard. I think this happens here because I'm using the signets from the other healers as well. I do share my signets across the healers. So if you play Bard, I suggest you, whenever you have the chance, you go for Dominance Insignias. We do have Dominance, Aggression, Brutality, and Rhythm. Try to all the insignias give critical severity. So whenever you have a spot that you can put Dominance, try to buy some Dominance. It's gonna help you both ways because Forte, the Dominance Insignias will give you Forte, which helps out with the critical severity and helps out with your performance regen. And yeah, you're going to reduce some of the extreme extra critical severity that we have here. For the outgoing healing, we have 74.4. We're going to get 6 from the shirt. We're gonna get 5 from the helmet, and we're gonna get 5 from the Sforzando. So we're gonna be fine as well. And yeah, we're still rocking things like the Divine Ages here for some extra healing, and also the Opa Ring. As always, with all the debuffs as well, like the Chest Beats debuff, the Merilith set, and the Grace. So that's it. And yeah, we're gonna get into the build now. So guys, I'm gonna leave the helmet for last here, but yeah, I'm using the one from the new dungeon. But let's take a look at the rest first. I'm still using the chest piece debuff. I think this is really strong, guys. I've told you many times. This is like having an artifact on at all times. It's just it basically the chest piece itself gives around 10% more damage to the team. The only problem with that chest piece is just you have to be really close to the target to proc this. And yeah, it can be dangerous sometimes. But as long as you are close to the target whenever your team is doing the artifact call, it's gonna be fine. For the arms, we're using the new ones as well for performance and forte. It's not exactly a direct upgrade from what we had in the last module, but yeah, we're losing 5% performance. So if you think you're missing too much, you can go back to this ones, not a big deal. The only issue here is that these new gloves actually give me 2.4 outgoing healing. And as I said many times, outgoing healing ratings are really hard to come by, and they really help you cap your sets. So yeah, the rate is not going to be the same, so you're probably going to have to find a little bit of outgoing healer here and there to do the cap. Or you can just forget about it because we do have some extra outgoing healing, as I said. So for the weapon, guys, we are using the Void Touch ones because of the high iron level, and they actually offer the most amount of extra healing as well. They already give us 5 just by equipping, and some damage resistance. And we can get up to 6% with the stacks, and double that in the wild space. But I'm thinking about the latest dungeon, even though we are facing more than one enemy most of the bosses. It's fine, guys. The DPS is gonna take care of the ads, and we're gonna stack those stacks back up again and get the 6% bonus. It's better than have the Solarium because the Solarium only gives 6, and this weapon, just by equipping them, they give a 5. So it's better than the Solarium. But if you need the stats, you can go with the perfect weapons because we give 5% critical strike and 5% critical severity. You're definitely not going to need the critical severity, but if you need it, master weapons as well, weaver weapons as well if you want to support the team a little bit more. If you feel like your heals are enough, or if you're doing easier content, you can put those to give some. I know you're not going to have the heals are not going to be as strong, but the point of using those weapons is just giving 2% mitigation and 2% extra damage to your DPS. So for the boots, guys, we're using the new ones to give us regen and outgoing healing. If you feel like you need some extra regen, you can go back to the old ones from Moon Dance, and it gives us 20. If you're playing Wild Space, you can go back to this one, Ultraviolet. It gives 20 as well. A little bit less outgoing healing. Again, the same thing. If you drop those boots to use this 20% one, you're gonna be losing a little bit of outgoing healing. In this case here, we're gonna be using 3.5 outgoing healing and 2.4 ratings. So yeah, we're gonna be losing around 5 outgoing healing. It's fine because we do have some extra outgoing healing. But if you don't want to bother with that, if you want to see your stats a little more close to the 90, you can just drop the open ring and use the dominance ring, and we don't have that extra outgoing healing condition to multi-target heals, and the stats are going to be closer to 90 on your stats page. But yeah, it's not a big deal if you drop the 3.5 to use this one, guys. Artifact wise, we're using the Blast Scepter, guys. We're using this just because it's the highest debuff artifact we can use. There's another ones you can use, man. Mythalar. Mythalar is usually used by the tank because it offers stamina regen. So I just let the tank use it. And if the DPS wants to use this one here, the Blast Scepter, it's fine. You can go with the knives because again, it's one of the strongest, with 12% damage increase and 12% mitigation. You can go with Demogorgon, although Demogorgon has some kind of a prep time because the DPS have to wait for the tentacles to beat up the boss. So if you ever see If you ever use the Demogorgon and see some DPS just straight away using the Toad, you can call the DPS and say, man, wait the tentacles to hit the boss, because they are losing a huge amount of damage, man, if they don't wait the Demogorgon to finish the animation. So we're using Blast Scepter, and the other artifacts here, guys, you just gotta save one spot to complete whatever set you have, and the other ones is up to you guys. You can use the highest item level artifacts you guys have. I'm using the one that gives stamina regen, is really helpful. I'm using Dragonborn Blades here. Artifact set, I'm using the melee set. The Bard can work with any debuff set. You can work with melee, you can work with Apocalypse, and it can work with the stunning. And yeah, it's just to debuff the target to the DPS can do some extra damage, extra 5% damage. Same thing with the Grace. It doesn't help us in the build at all, just help us the run to go a little bit faster, and yeah, everyone's saving resources and everything. Open rank for the extra heals above the cap. The shirt we're using the ones from the Moon Dancer. Again, it's just more reliable to have that one, I think. And we're using for the Outgoing Healing. If you want to go for the ones that I don't think I have in here, the ones from the Impure Citadel, that gives it's basically the same shirt, but it only works in a single enemy fights. So if you're fighting a boss that you know there's not going to be any ads, you can switch to this shirt because it's a little higher item level. I'm going to show it here, guys. This shirt right here. So yeah, if you're facing only one enemy, it's going to get basically the same stuff, same Outgoing Healing, man. You can use this shirt, and it has high item level. The new shirt is not that great, honestly, because it's kind of the opposite of the one that we get from the Imperial Citadel. You have to be facing a bunch of enemies, but if you want to be switching shirts whenever you're facing one enemy or multiple enemies, you can do that as well. This would work with when you're facing multiple ads. I just want to use this one. It's just reliable. It procs right away when you get in a team. And for the pants, we're using the new ones for the Critical Strike. You can definitely go back with the old one from the Seals vendor. It gives 5% power, 5% defense, a little bit of Outgoing Healing rates in here. Yeah, it's fine as well. It's easy. If you don't have anything, just grab that one from the Seals vendor. It's really, really good. Enchantments, we're using 2 Garnets, 2 Jades in the offense. We're using 1 Jade in utility for Outgoing Healing. Defense, you can have whatever you want. I'm using Devil's Precision. I'm using, this part is up to you, man. I usually have a ward here for whatever kind of enemy I'm facing. Just those types of wards that I can share across to the other players through my heals. And yeah, if there's no ward for that specific enemy, you can use whatever you want, man. You can use more action points. You can use the White Dragon glyph for increasing heals, and yeah, this part is flexible to you. Common enchantment, we do have the Celestial Divine Ages here for the additional healing. It gives a little bit of shield. It helps a little, but it's mostly because of the heals. If you need stats, you can also go with Celestial Flash, honestly. The Bard already has built in his kit a bunch of extra healing, so it's no big deal if you want to go with Celestial Flash. It's good for DPS as well. If you have a Bard DPS, it gives a bunch of Critical Strike, which is 10.8 if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, 10.8 Critical Strike. You can go with that as well, but this is definitely the best in slot. For bonus, I'm using movement speed. And for the helmet, guys, I'm using the one from the new dungeon that gives Outgoing Healing and power. You can definitely go with the one from the last dungeon, the Impure Citadel, which is the same thing. I just don't have it here. And you can go with the Moon Dancer one to give Critical Strike, which is a way to use the Watermelon Sorbet. And you're just gonna have to switch things around the companions. You're gonna be able to use the watermelon sorbet instead of the squash soup. Yeah. There's a couple other options here, but the iron level is gonna be lower and lower. We have the critical strike from the Demon Epics. We do have the critical strike from the Dragon Hunts as well. But the reason I left this discussion for for last is because of the maybe you wanna be using the Regen helmet from MTOS. So maybe you wanna be using extra Regen. It does stack with the new boots. It doesn't stack with the Moon Dancer boots because it has the same name, but it does stack with the boots from the Moon Dancer, from the, not the Moon Dancer, sorry, the Imperial Citadel, and the new boots from the Mad Dragon. It does stack if you need some extra regen. It might be helpful. However, you cannot use this helmet and still use everything that I have in this build. You're gonna have to drop something. You're gonna have to drop a debuff. You're gonna have to drop some extra heals. You're gonna have to drop the extra performance. You gotta choose. If I had to choose for you, if I had the helmet here, and I were to drop for for the sake of having more regen, I would drop the extra healing. I would drop the open ring and go for the dominance ring, which gives outgoing healing. And I would drop the celestial here, divine aegis, for the critical strike, celestial flash, celestial lightning flash for the critical strike. We're gonna be losing extra heals, but we're gonna be getting extra regen. That's the way I would do it, but there's multiple ways you can do it, guys. You can actually drop the best debuff we have here for something like I'm not sure if I'm gonna have it. I have it from this chest piece. This chest piece here from the Dragon Hunts that gives critical strike. But again, we're gonna be losing the best debuff in the game, best debuff equipment. So I'm not sure. It's a way you can do it, but not my first choice. You probably can also drop the gloves here and go for the ones from the Imperial Citadel. For the boon, guys, we're using power, critical strike, critical severity, movement speed, lingering effects. We're grabbing defense here just to complete so we can move on. Grabbing more power, grabbing outgoing healing, forte, action point, recharge speed, and master boon is blast resilience and blast advantage. The blast advantage is the one that gives power, so maybe you want to grab this first to help out yourself, and then grab blast resilience to help out the other players, mostly the tank with the defense and some extra stamina as well for the tank. For the Guild Stronghold boost, I'm using power, I'm using defense, and I'm using revive sickness. Remember that you can equip the group heal potion, and using the rejuvenating potion, you can actually trigger the lingering effects on other players as well if they have it equipped. And yeah, you're gonna give the group some extra heals through the Guild Stronghold boon that shares the potion. For the companions, guys, I'm using Portobello. It gives 3.5 power, 3.5 combat advantage, so it helps me and the DPS. There's a bunch of other companions, especially now, that you can use. You can use Dritz. It's good to have the Dritz because Dritz is always a multiplicator bonus. It's always going to increase your team's damage by 3%, so it's good to have. Tutor for extra 5% combat advantage. And yeah, you can use Flapjack. It does the same thing, 5% combat advantage. They both stack. So yeah, it can help out the DPS to cap their stats, so they can invest in some more damage. There's a bunch of others now. Honestly, you can go for the Harper Bard as well. He gives 2% power, 2% critical chance with this power here. So it's good for you too if you want to cap your critical strike. Like I said, you can have this on and you're going to be capping everything. We're going to be losing a little bit of power compared to the Portobello, but it's going to be fine. What else? Spine Devil, it's fine as well. It gives 10% additional damage to your team. So a bunch of options, guys. We can even use the new one from the log class. It gives 10% movement speed. putting this on all my healer videos because it's really good to have the movement speed, guys, especially for your daily questing, your random queues. It's really fast. 10% movement speed. Where is it? It's just too much, guys. It's really good. Going back to the Portobello here, for the equipment, we're using the new ones that give outgoing healing and forte. You can go with the critical strike one that give outgoing healing and critical strike, but I don't think you're gonna need critical strike. Just taking a look at my stats here, you're gonna have basically have the critical strikes capped. So you're gonna be fine on critical strike. I think your second best option would be to go back to the old single stat outgoing healing equipment from the Wild Space campaign. And yeah, it's the second best option because again, outgoing healing is really hard to come by the ratings, so it's good to have those. For the enhancement, we are using the dual senses here for the debuff, going to reduce the enemy awareness. This gives us around 3% damage to your team. Other options are armor break. Usually the tank runs the armor break, so that's why we don't use this. After that, after the dual senses, the next best is the where's that? Vulnerability, which should give us around 2% extra damage, and after that, slowed reactions to reduce the enemy's deflect. If you want another reason to have Portobello as well, Portobello is the one that gives this effect here, which reduces the enemy's combat advantage by 7.5, which is a little bit of a mitigation for you, the tank specifically, on those tank busters. Only the Portobello has that. The boss always has combat advantage on everybody, so this is good. This is good to have. For the companion bonuses, guys, I'm using the Black Dragon's Insight for the critical strike, Proud Pink Yeti for the outgoing healing, Grunt Confidence for critical strike. And guys, this is from the old battle pass, so if you don't have that, you're probably gonna have to change some things around in your build. Probably gonna have to go back to the helmet that gives critical strike, which is fine as well, guys. And yeah, or change the gloves for the critical strike ones. Maybe you want to drop the Opal ring for some critical strike ring, or even the Grace ring. The Grace ring, as I said, doesn't even give you ratings. So if you don't have this companion, you're probably going to have to find some critical strike someplace else. We're using Raptor for the additional power and Font Instincts for critical strike and power. So for combat power, guys, same old story. Eclipse, Lion, Bloodstorm, T-Rex, and Pegasus. We got some 2 new options from the Protector's Jubilee event. We got the Dragon, so if you have that, you can equip that. It's really strong. And if you get lucky or buy from other players, the newest lockbox gives us the Bestial Fire, and it's really strong as well. For the equip power, guys, the 3 auras, Mystic Aura, that comes from the Myconic Bullet, Runic Aura, that comes from the Manticore, and Pact Tactics, that comes from the Ebony Riding Lizard. So these are the ones we gotta use, guys, to help out the DPS. You're not gonna need any other mount here to cap out your stats, as I've showed you guys. I'm using everything in my power to buff the other players, and I'm still able to cap my stats. So you're definitely not going to need anything else here, guys. Just try to invest in some of those auras here to help out your team. So for mount colors, guys, when using outgoing healing and critical severity, the rest is up to you. I grab the encountering powers here just in case I ever decide to build a DPS in my account, and it also helps out with my daily activities in the campaign and everything else. If you think you're missing damage, if you're not using the at-will, guys, we do no damage with the at-wills, even as a healer. So don't worry about that, man. Don't worry at all. Just you're better off grabbing the encounter ones again, just in case you ever decide to build a DPS. We grab movement speed and the rough AD. For the bonus, I'm using Shepherd's Devotion. This is definitely changeable, guys, but it gives us some buffs whenever you use a daily, some movement speed buffs and defense. Gladiator's Groove for additional movement speed is good for the mobility. Lionheart's Perseverance, some emergency heals whenever we get too low. Magistrator's Patience is the must-have here, is the absolute best one to have as a healer. It helps out everyone by giving them some defense stats whenever you do a critical heal on them. So every time, guys, whenever this is not on cooldown, it's gonna trigger from your heals. And Mentor's Covenant for some extra healing stats. I never talk about the Insignias on my video, guys, but I hope you guys take a look at those, because again, I do have a bunch of Brutality Insignias, and you guys saw the result. I do have some absurd amount of extra critical severity. So if you have a main bard, I suggest you, whenever you have the opportunity to have a dominance insignia, you put a dominance insignia, because all the other insignias give critical severity. And yeah, if you're wondering, the kind of orange insignia is the brutality, the green one is the dominance, the pink one is the rhythm, and the red one is the aggression. I never talk about those, but I just suppose you guys can look at that when I scroll over those. You can definitely use more Mentor's Covenant, but again, the effectiveness is going to be halved the more you have it. You can also run with the Survivalist Expertise for some extra forte, which helps out with some regen, but you're going to have some going to lose way more health when you die, right, basically. So at Wheels, guys, we are using the Reprise for proccing out debuffs, and this also forced me to stay close to the target and proc the chess piece. That's why I use those. I know a bunch of people use the Phantasmal Concerto because it's AoE, but I don't really like it. It's really slow, and it can't mess up the proc of the Grace, because the Grace is now working properly. So if you're hitting an enemy with AoE attack, if you're hitting more than one enemy, you're not going to be proccing Grace. And with the Phantasmal Concerto, if you have a bunch of heads surrounding the boss, you're not going to proccing Grace on any one of them. I think I can show this to you guys real quick here. I'm going to put the boss here. I'm going to use the Phantasmal Concerto on the boss. I have the Grace proc there. I'm going to put more enemies here. Let's see if I hit both. See, I'm not proccing the Grace. So yeah, be careful with that if you're using Phantasmal Concerto with the Grace. If you're hitting multiple enemies with your AoE, it's not going to be proccing the Grace. So that's why I stick with the Reprise to help me out still debuff the enemy with my chess piece, because I have to be close, and I don't have to worry about not hitting only one enemy with my AoE. For the encounters, Flourish is a must. Delayed Play is a must. Flourish gives us 50% additional healing. That's why I said if you think you need more regen and want to switch for the helmet, you can, because we do have some built-in 50 from Flourish and 10% from the Minstrel Inspiration here, the Truly Inspired, sorry, which gives another 10. So we have 60% built-in additional healing for the Bard. So if you think you need more regen, I think it's better to drop the Open Ring and the Divine Aegis and use the Celestial Flash and Dominance or any other ring you have to cap your stats. Flourish is a must. Delayed Play is a must because we do use Vamp, and yeah, we put the Sheltering Etude on the Vamp and on the Delayed Play, sorry, and we get some free casts of the Sheltering Etude, which is a really nice heal. And the third one is up to you. If you think you need the regen baseline, it's gonna be your best bet. It's the only option we have, honestly. It sucks it's just a small amount of performance, but it's what we have. Duet for some days effect on the AoE. It's good to have. If you want some mitigation, Dancing Lights is great. It reduces the enemy's damage by 5%, so you have options. And if you need extra healing on the tank, there's also Serenade, which gives another 50% additional heal on the tank. If you put the mark on the tank, it's only 5, but if you trigger the effect, it's another 50. So again, more built-in additional healing on the Bard. For the dailies, I use Inspiration and Curtain Call. For Inspiration, just use it, whenever I feel like I need a little bit more damage. It only works with 1 DPS, so you gotta be closest to the DPS you wanna proc this on. Yeah, it sucks. I wish this would work with everybody, but yeah, it is what it is. Probably would be way too powerful to have to, if this worked when the whole group. And other than that, I use Curtain Call. Yeah, I usually just put the Warding Carol and the Sheltering Etude for some mitigation. The Warding Carol gives us 10% mitigation, and the Sheltering Etude we give everybody the 800 magnitude shield. So for the songs, guys, for the quick play, I'm using the Defender's Minuet. It's just an emergency heal, guys. Whenever you see the tank dropping too low, you just use this 2000 magnitude heal. It's probably gonna heal them to the full health. Or you can use it in the DPS as well, but you maybe have to use this twice if they are surrounded by ads and everything. So you normally save this for the tank. And the other one is Warding Carol. It's the cleanse, guys. It's especially useful in this new dungeon for the second boss. Now it's fine to play with the other healers as well, but in the beginning of the module, the Bard was really sought after because of the cleanse. It has the best cleanse ever. It hits everybody. It has a 10 seconds, and it cleanses every 3 seconds. So really good. I don't normally use Aurora Fantasia, although if you like it, you can use it. We're gonna go through the rotation in the end. Class feature I'm using is Forzando for the additional outgoing healing, and Vamos Alá for the additional movement speed. Feats, I'm using Diminuendo for some quick heal out of the Arpeggio. I didn't even think I mentioned Arpeggio, but yeah, we use Arpeggio because it's the only heal at will we have. So I use Diminuendo to get some quick heal out of it. Rhapsody at Arms to get some mitigation. Doesn't really help us otherwise. Use Vamp to get some extra heals. We use Desperate Finale in case we drop too low in the performance. We get some 600 performance. It has a cooldown, but it's fine, guys. You're not gonna get too low too often, guys. This is a great one to have. Way better than what we have here, which reduces the cost, but also reduces the effectiveness of the songs. And the Bard honestly cannot lose more heals. The heals are not that strong compared to the other healers. And yeah, if you're curious about Center Muse, it's just unreliable, guys. And the last is the mandatory one, Storyteller. It's why people love the Bard. It increases the DPS damage by 15 whenever it has 3 stacks. The tank mitigation 15%, and increases the other healers healing by 15% as well. Other options here on the class feature, guys, is Starstruck. Can proc, but it only procs whenever you play the song. It doesn't proc through the heal over times, which is sad. If you were to proc from the heal over times, maybe it would be more useful. But again, if you're capping the outgoing healing, there's nothing you can do with the Forzando. Maybe you can switch around to the Starstruck. If you want, you can also make the Arpeggio AoE with this. It's gonna decrease the effectiveness of the Arpeggio, but it's another thing you can use. And yeah, other than that, Mystifying Strikes would be more useful if it wasn't 5% chance to apply it. Because if you look at there, the magnitude of the heal is actually 400, which is significant. But yeah, it's a 5% chance to proc it. So I don't think it's that useful because of that. I guess don't forget about your passive. You get 10% critical severity for free whenever you play a song that is not in a quick play, and you get 10% healing bonus whenever you play a song that is not in a quick play. So yeah, don't forget you have that 10% critical severity extra. For the rotation, guys, we usually start with the Blaze Flamenco. We have a Flourish here. We do a Druid Carol. The Vamp already procced, so we're gonna put the Sheltering Etude in the delay play, and we're gonna get a free cast of the Sheltering Etude through the Vamp. And yeah, we just wait until we around the 15-second mark on the Druid Carol, and we do cast another song. We do cast a Flourished Sheltering Etude, and yeah, just wait till the songs expire, and we do everything again. Usually do it before because we don't want the people to lose the stacks of the Storyteller. So we cast another 2 songs here. I got the Vamp for free again. So yeah, we're back with the stacks again. You can maybe throw the Aurora Fantasia in the mix, but again, I don't really like it. Whenever you activate the song, the Aurora Fantasia, it counts as a song, so you get a stack of Storyteller. But the thing is, to get out the Aurora Fantasia, you have to go through the animation, and it takes a little bit, and it does not count as a song. So yeah, you're probably gonna be losing the effects of the Storyteller. And if you're facing really hard enemy and people are taking a lot of damage, that going back and forth with the animation on the Aurora Fantasia, it's gonna be bad, man. You're probably gonna have to get in and get out really quick, and it's annoying, man. The animation is annoying, unfortunately. It's really cool to have the heals whenever we hit, but yeah, maybe if this were to have some kind of an interaction with the Storyteller buff, maybe would be more useful, but unfortunately, yeah, I don't really like that one. And that's it for the rotation, guys. And that's it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, guys, and I catch you guys around. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comment section. I'll be answering those, guys. See you guys around.